Hey guys, it's Nicole with Life's Sweeter Side, and we are going to do Iron Man today. I haven't done this one yet, so we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of going back and forth whether I want to outline first, fill in first, or what, but I think I'm gonna outline last. I think I just made my decision. So to start with, I just kind of drew in with edible marker here. These ones are awesome, these Wilton Food Writers, only because it doesn't run out. Some of them run out really soon, like as soon as I wouldn't even be able to draw this whole thing. So anyways, I just did my outlines first, and this is going to have to be done in stages because, you know, of course with Iron Man we've got different colors. Really only like four that I'm using, because I'm going to use white for a lot of it, the reddish kind of burgundy color, of course black, and then I'm going to put some, I'm using white, but then I'm going to paint over some gold. This is edible gold, kind of, not glitter really, but it's a paint on that we can paint on. So I'm going to do that for the gold parts. And if you don't have gold, yellow, you can make yellow more of a gold yellow, a goldish yellow, you can do that as well. I see a lot of that, but I have the gold, so I wanted to try that. Okay, so my first part, like I said, we're going to do this in stages, and the reason is number one, we have different colors within each other, but I also want to outline where all of these where I've drawn already, I kind of want to do a black outline with all of that as well. So I'm going to do parts that aren't touching right now so that that color can dry, and then we'll come back and do another step. So the ones I'm going to do now are the ones that I'm going to paint in gold. So I'm actually going to do white first, just the white that's going to end up being painted in gold. So I'm just going to follow my lines here, and it's okay that they're still showing because when I get done here, I'm going to be going over in black anyways, the outlines. Okay, so let's outline. This is again where the gold is going to be painted, this whole middle section of his mask, kind of. I want a little point up there. And then we'll go around where the eyes are. And I just sometimes will go a little bit over because I want to clean. And inside of there's actually going to be white, so after we paint the gold. So we'll end up covering up those as well. Okay, so then we're just going to fill this guy in. And with this piping, this consistency, I didn't want it too runny, too loose, because then it will kind of try to go outside of my lines. When I do a good outline, it'll kind of tend to run over, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, just kind of being careful around some of these, and it's okay if they're not perfect. I'm actually going to move this out a little bit, so I can still see I want to see my black lines, because I kind of want to make sure that those are rectangles, if you will. Okay, that looks good. All right, let's fill this guy in a little bit quicker here, sorry. Just want to be careful around those. It's easy when you're doing this to kind of cover up and make those not hold their form, and I want them to stay as rectangles. So while the icing is still really wet, I can manipulate it a lot easier. Okay, let's give this guy a little shake. So yeah, the icing consistency is a little bit thicker than what I normally use for flooding, just because this is a smaller area and really defined. I want to make sure. See, I got a little bit of the red on my my bag already. Okay, just make that. Okay, so that guy's gonna be gold, and then his belt is gonna be gold. So on this, with the belt, because I want these defined lines again, I'm only gonna do I'm gonna do these outside ones first, and we'll go back and do the middle after these ones have dried a little bit more than what they are. And as you can see, the concept here is to not do sections that are located right next to each other so that we can get that definition in there. Again, these lines help in cleaning up, making some of this a little bit sharper, which I do want on this because I'm going to be outlining afterwards. So this will help me out, make my outlines a little bit more crisp. Okay. So we'll come back and do that middle section. Gold, okay, then I want his little, I don't know, boots, shoes, what, I don't know. I should ask my husband. My husband and kids are the Marvel fans in my family. You know what? I'm only going to do one of these because I want, again, I even want a clear definition between the boots or shoes, whatever you want to call those little guys. Okay. Since I have some other sections that are not touching, I can go ahead and do that. I mean, you can set this aside, just, you know, really focus on just one color at a time. But I'm going to actually focus on a couple different colors here because they're not all touching. So with that being said, let's do some of these little red guys, or the burgundy, whatever color Iron Man is supposed to be. So this whole arm is actually going to be this color here. So let's do this. And as you can tell, this consistency again is a thicker blood. So when it's thicker, sometimes you will have pitting, which means after you let it dry, see, it looks perfect now, but you let it dry, and then might have like a little hole in there. Kind of think of like a pit in a cherry or something. So what I've been doing, and I actually just started this, I had heard about it a lot and just never really had done it. I set mine in front of a fan and let it dry. All right, I think we're good. So we're gonna set this guy aside. I think, actually I can do this thing right over here real quick too. I see a little spot I wanna get. Noticed that earlier. Okay, so this is kind of like the white section of where his beam or whatever is going. Gosh, I probably sound silly since I'm not. And I'm going to use white for the middle of that, and then I'm going to use this too. So this one's we're going to use a little wet on wet technique for this. So let's go ahead and outline this part. And I actually forgot to do a part I was going to do gold, but that's okay. I'll come back and get it when it's white, when I do the white. Okay, so I want to leave this middle section. I'm going to kind of do a white in the middle. So let's finish our red here. I forgot this little guy right here is going to be gold. Just bring him out a little bit. And by drawing lines on these characters, it helps you to not forget something or realize, you know, kind of not go too rogue on it, I guess, because it's defined. Okay, so then I'm in the middle. I'm just going to put white. It's supposed to be like his beam section. Where the thingy shoots out, the shiny thing. I'm not sure what to call it. We're going to leave him white, so that's not going to be gold at all. So, but what I want to do, just kind of want to blur these lines a little. So I'm just kind of going around the edges. It doesn't have to be anything special or perfect, just my idea of what I guess the blurred lines would be. Okay, I see one more section that I can do. This section I'm gonna do right now is actually gonna stay white. But since it's not touching, I might as well get as much as I can done. That way you're not waiting so much in between. Or doing a little bit, waiting forever. Because we do want to really let this dry for probably at least an hour. It doesn't have to be, if you're careful, it doesn't have to be completely dry because we just want it to be able to stand up on its own without flooding into the neck. So this is supposed to be white, and I got a little bit of that burgundy on there. Got to clean off my, got to wipe off my boo-boo stick before going into the white. Okay, and then let's make him a little bit straighter. These are the ones that I love because I like all the detail. I could do these all day long. Okay, all right. So we're just gonna kind of pause. Actually, this guy, you can kind of see, as I said, this is thicker, so I'm already starting to see a little pitting because I don't have it in front of my fan yet. So I'm just gonna fix it while I can. And this has gotten to a point where I could probably put the white on the other side. It's been waited, it's long enough. And then I need to get him in front of a fan. So let's finish off his other little foot. And I'm just gonna kind of take this out of here. It's gonna be outlined in black here anyway, so this part definitely doesn't need to be perfect, but I would like his shoes to be a little bit more even. All right, let's see. My kids keep coming down and asking if these are for Dad for his birthday. No, because his birthday's not till July 3rd. And then they're asking, okay, is it for Father's Day? Well, it would be great. I actually bought these cutters for Father's Day last year, but with my son's graduation and all kinds of stuff around before then, I just didn't have time to really work on them. So I'm so glad I get to do them this year. But yeah, it'd be great to do them for Father's Day. However, my husband is always checking out what I'm doing, so it'd be kind of hard. It's hard to do a surprise for really anybody. And the kids are easier because they'll let me do my thing. And my husband does too. He just likes to see what I'm doing, I guess. Sorry, this one's kind of cratering already. I need to put a little bit more in there. And that one. Yep, I need to get these in front of my fan because these are starting to get little craters. Like I said, it's because of the consistency of the icing is why it's doing that. Also, I've read that the meringue powder, using meringue powder, which I use, is supposed to be, in the icing, is supposed to help it with the cratering, but I haven't noticed any kind of change with the amount I use or anything. Okay, so we're gonna just set this in front of the fan for at least an hour and we'll come back and do some more sections of this guy. Okay, ready to do the next part. So I have this under the fan so that this is dry. You wanna make sure it's not sticky, but it's not dry, all the way dry underneath, so you wanna be really careful when you're putting on the gold over it so that you don't press down too hard and make a dent in it. So what I'm gonna do is use my gold dust. It's this Wedding Gold Sterling Silver from Sugar Art. And it's just a powder. So I'm gonna take some of that, put it in this container that I had already been using. And then you add alcohol. The highest alcohol that you can find is the best. So I'm using Everclear, just put a little bit in here and I add it with a dropper. And this just helps it dry quicker and the alcohol actually dries off. I use, for the big portion, I think I'll use this one. So I'm just gonna stir it up. Looks like I need a little bit more. If you put too much in there, then it's too watery and it's just not, the gold doesn't show up real well. It just looks like a real watered down gold color. So that looks good. So I'm going to lightly paint this on the area that I want it to be gold. And again, this is a part where you could use yellow or make your yellow color like more of a goldish yellow. But I kind of like, since I have gold, I like using that. And I'm just painting it on here really lightly. And the reason I like to outline last, I think, is why I decided, I guess, is so that I could go outside the lines if I had to, just so you don't have to. Otherwise, if you're trying to be too careful, sometimes if you're not real good at it like me, I would probably get the gold on the outline. And for me, it just doesn't look as clean. Need to add a little bit more alcohol in there. It's starting to, as you can tell, it dries up really quick. So it's always a balance. If I put too much in there, then I'm kind of wasting it because it can be expensive. And if I don't put enough in, then it's too watery and I have to go over it again. So this is looking pretty good. And then just a little bit kind of dries up in the container too. A little bit more alcohol again. And that's why using a dropper is good. That way you don't ever put too much in there. It's better to put too little, then you can always add, than having to waste it like I've done that before. So you can tell that one's a little bit more watery. I don't need that much water. Not watery, it's really alcohol that's in there, but okay. And then because I'm doing this part first, I don't want to get this guy gold because he's going to stay white, but I can get in here too, knowing I'm going to go back in and fill that in with white. Okay, let's just get around. Make sure we get all the white out of there. So now I'm going to get the edges. And when you have it outlined already, you're just trying to be too careful, and it's too easy to leave some of it white when you want it all to be colored in. Okay, I think that looks good. I might go over this. I had a little bit of the dry stuff that I kind of got in there. As you can tell, it kind of gets a little grainy. Let's wipe that out. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more alcohol in here because I made that a little too grainy, because it's drying up. Just to make it smoother here. Get that off. And then we'll do the little spots that need the gold. Okay. Just using a dry brush to get some of that gold off of here to where it dried up before the alcohol got to it. Okay, much better. All right. I'm going to use a smaller one anyways for some of these smaller gold spots. One's right here. And we'll have to actually go back and do a couple gold spots later, like this middle spot and then right here, just because I did another color over there. I need to go back and do the white since I didn't want it to be backing up. I didn't want the two colors to run in together, so that's why we have to go back. Okay, let's put this one away for now. And I am going to go around, I think, and let's do the red next. Okay. I need another paper towel here. I gotta close up my gold and my alcohol, otherwise I'll end up spilling it. Okay, and just always wipe off the tip here. Get my boo-boo sticks. Okay, so I'm gonna work on some of this red next. So let's go ahead and get the second part of this arm over here. And I still got a little craters. This is this is what the craters look like when it dries, when it's really thick. So I'm just gonna fill them in. Take a dry brush that doesn't have gold on it. And just kind of wipe it softly so that it's flush with the color. There we go. And that's how you can kind of fix those, and then it'll dry. Okay, got this little, and again, we're gonna add some outline in here. So we want this to look like two separate parts, because there will be black outline in there. All right, I'm gonna do the rest of his helmet next. So I'm going to turn them around just so it's easier for me to get my outline going here. See where I want it. And my tip looks really weird because I used too small of a bag to start with, and the icing was coming out the top. So I had to put it inside of a big bag. That way I didn't have to totally clear it all. Clear out the bag just to put it in a new one. So the tip on this looks a little weird today. And outlining like a circle shape can always be a little tricky. Okay, and then I'm going to outline here. And again, this is a cartoonish character, so it's definitely going to be outlined in black when we get done. I love this consistency for outlining. It just makes it tricky when you have to fill in with it so you don't get any craters like you just saw the one I had. And guys, I am not a pro at this. Maybe someday I'll figure out the secret to no craters. When I figure it out, I will definitely let you know. Everything looks perfect when I put it on the drying rack, and still get them. Now, when I mentioned before that the craters are not supposed to be there with the fan, that was just somebody's take on it. I just tested it. That's not the case. The fan will definitely help with drying faster, although you still need to leave a lot of time for these to dry if you're going to package them up. I always leave them at least overnight. I like to bag them as soon as possible because I want them to be as fresh as possible too. But I always leave them at least overnight. But what I am noticing, the fan does make a difference to make them shiny. What's difficult to do with royal icing is it's shiny when we flood, and then it dries and it's not so shiny. And this is from after putting, you know, corn syrup and all that good stuff in there that's supposed to help with the shine. The corn syrup that's in it not only gives it like a softer bite, because royal icing can get pretty kind of brittle consistency and kind of difficult to bite into, not as good of a bite, but the corn syrup helps soften the bite, not make it so crunchy. But yeah, it'd be awesome if we could keep this shine that we have. But what happens is you let it dry and it doesn't stay as shiny. Now, dehydrator, I haven't actually invested in a dehydrator yet. That's probably my next one. I want to try the fan technique first to help with the shine. So we'll definitely judge that when we get done. I do see more shine over here than what I normally would with my cookies, so. And the dehydrator will also help with drying time too. much faster than even the fan will. Okay, so he looks good. Try and get up as close as you can to those edges. Again, we're gonna outline, so that'll kind of clean it up. But if you didn't want to outline, just, it still looks pretty good without it, actually. Sorry, this middle part's kind of bugging me. You'll notice if you don't get consistent icing in there, you'll really notice it thinner around the edges. Okay, that looks good. Now I think I'm gonna do the whites of his eyes. Well, not his eyes, his glasses. Do the white in here. Oh, that looks cool. That looks really cool. Okay, and then I'm going to finish white down here with, since I've already done his, this middle section that's already dried. This we want in 2 sections, so I'm just going to do one for right now. Go back and do the other one later, so that we can definitely, again, it'll be outlined, but I still want to see definitely 2 sections, so I'm going to bring this over a little bit. Again, the black outline is really a great guide. When you can of course do this freehand. And if you're a great artist, unlike me, it'll be great. But for me, I need the outlines. And darn it, I keep getting a little bit of red in there. That's what happens. You gotta really be careful. I have more than one boo-boo stick. I just always have a favorite one that I grab. Okay. Let's do some more red. So really we have this. Actually, let's do a little bit of white over here and get that part done, so that this part is actually going to be gold. So let's get that so he can dry and we can get the gold in there. You'll notice I'm not using my cookie swivel today, only because I forgot to grab it when I was in where my cookie supplies are. And didn't think about it till too late, but it does make it a little easier to turn it around. However, I've got a good edge on this guy, so I'm not so worried about my fingers getting in there. Need a little bit more white. Just need a little bit more to bring it up here. There we go. Because you want to be able to see, I want it a little bit thicker just so you can see there's a different color in there. Okay, so we still have this section that's going to be red. This section, we can do that guy white, and then this section down here. So I think I'm going to do the red first, and then I'll go back and get to the white, just because it's a smaller section. And when you have these really small ones, you can always make another bag. A smaller bag is what I tried originally, but I made too much icing. So it's not so big on your hands. You can get a little bit closer, it'll feel like, and feel like you have more control, as well as make maybe another size tip if you wanted to cut a smaller tip into here. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable. And guys, the way I'm doing this is not necessarily the right, and it's not necessarily the wrong. It's just the way that I like to do it. You will definitely create your own process, technique, all that good stuff. You can always Google to, like when I was, you can do this. I taught myself all of this stuff. Now I've watched other people, don't get me wrong, there's lots of videos out there. And then there's times when I'm like, should I, like before when I was trying to decide, should I pipe it first and then flood? You can just go out there and Google it and see what other people say. A lot of people said to outline it first and then flood. I don't, it just seems too messy for me. If you want, I like mine to look really clean. Not that it does, but that's my goal every time. I just think that if we flood afterwards, we can make these outlines just look even more crisp, even though I'm trying really hard. I actually think it would look okay without outlining it in black. But I think the black kind of helps with the caricature of it. More like a cartoonish Iron Man. So once this part's dried a little bit, we'll go back in and fill in that rest of his belt. You'll notice I have to be really careful though when I put the gold on, since I've got my red up there, but that's okay. You can use a really small brush to do that. Okay, let's get some red up here. I don't want to see that, like a tiny bit. Tiny little dot up there. Okay, so all we have left, a couple little spots left. So we are going to let him dry a little bit more so we can get him exactly how we want him, or have him dry so it doesn't, I don't want to rush it, and then we'll do our outline. Okay, let's finish this guy up. So I'm just going to finish this last little bit of white here. We've got a little bit of red right here. Then I've got to paint a little bit of gold on his belt still. And then we are going to outline, and that will be the finishing. See how it looks with the outline. Okay, let's get a little bit of gold. Let's see if I've got any gold left. I don't know. I've got some left, but it might need a little bit of, no, I think we might be good. Let's see. Since it's such a little bit, I might be okay. Get my smaller brush. Barely have any in here, so it's kind of hard to even get out just a little bit, but I don't want to make some just for this little tiny bit. This stuff's pretty expensive, and you can see how small of a container it comes in. This comes in this little size. All right. Okay, very last part is going to be the outline. So what I'm going to do is take my black, make sure it's ready for my outline. It is. And just start outlining him. I think I'll start around, like I said, the circles are always the hardest to make perfect, but since we've got something to kind of butt up against, it might not be as bad. kind of when you pull up the icing bag, it gets, sometimes it'll leave a little tip. You can just kind of push down. I'm just gonna totally outline him first. And this one I'm going pretty slow with because obviously we're not going to be flooding in to kind of correct anything. Okay, then I can start filling in where else I want lines here. And it's really kind of wanted that a little square. Just the end where we've edged everything, or where the colors change. These I want to be more rectangles. Do his belt. I want to clean his belt up a little bit. Oh, he looks so cute. You know what? I think I want to do gold here and here, which means I'm going to have to wait until my black actually dries before I do that. Wasn't totally butting up against the cookies, so just added some more. But I think because I did that, I now need to make just a thicker black line around there, around the whole thing. Trying to get these guys to all look like one. One more line here. All right, here he is. I might add a little bit more gold things, but gotta wait for that to dry. And I'm going to want another black line. A couple more separated shoes here. And put a little line up so you can see the difference. You can see the separation in the legs. So there's two legs there. All right, here he is. Here's Iron Man. First time doing him. First time making this cookie. So definitely room for improvement, but that's what it's all about. Just trying new things, and then next time, each time after that, it'll look better. All right, thanks for watching. If you like it, please make sure you subscribe so you can get updates on all my new videos. Stuff I'm trying, stuff I already know how to do. I try to keep it pretty simple for everyone. Thanks, guys.